and gentlemen, today we're going to discuss the effects of playing first-person action shooter games for 10 to 15 hours a week. How many of us, and I need an actual real answer here, how many of us have heard of video games, know what they are, played them, or know someone that does? So it's safe to conclude that all of us can relate to the topic of video games, yes? Very good. So I want to give a quick video to illustrate what type of game I'm talking about today.
Hostile soldier spotted.
We lost objective Delta. Enemy tank. In your current position.
Sniper action. So it's a fact that adult video gamers have been playing for an average of 14 years. This is according to an article that was published on July 31st, 2012 by Stephen Johnson, titled "The Average Age of a Gamer is 30." I accessed this on October 16th, 2014 on the web. So first of all, let's agree that binging is no good, right? Too much of anything usually means bad news. I want you to consider these statistics released by Activision in a news release. This was issued on December 24th, 2010. I accessed this on the web on October 15th, 2014. It says, after 1 month of release, the game Call of Duty Black Ops, it had been played for more than 600 million hours worldwide in 1 month. That's more than 68,000 years of game time. My name is Tony Says, and today we're going to discuss 3 main points: the effects of playing first-person shooter games, who's doing the research and how, and what we can do with this data. So let's begin with the notion that too much screen time hurts your eyes, or that video games lead to attention problems. How many of us have heard this before? Most of us? Okay. Well, it turns out that these notions are incorrect. According to Dr. Daphne Bavelier, a cognitive researcher, she studies how the brain adapts to change in experience. In a TED Talks presentation filmed in June 2012, which I accessed on the web on October 12, 2014, Daphne said that people who don't play video games have normal vision, and that gamers who play first-person shooter games have vision that is very, very good. In fact, it's better than those that don't play, and it's better in 2 different ways. First of all, gamers can resolve small detail in the context of clutter. That means you can read the prescription on your medicine bottle without using a magnifying glass. The other way that it's better is that you can resolve different levels of gray better. This means that when you're driving in a fog, you can make out the car in front of you and possibly prevent an accident, or not. What about video games melting our brain and leading to attention problems? Dr. Bevelier went on to say that video game players have many advantages in terms of attention, and like in this following clip, when it's kill or be killed 4-on-1, for example, reaction time is faster. Let's take a look at this clip and see how this gamer reacts to this situation. So in this clip, there's a person defending an objective, and he's going to be rushed by 4 enemies. 4-on-1. Let's see what happens. Work. Thank you. That's okay. research. An article published by the New York Times on Thursday, May 29, 2003, final edition, titled "Video Game Killing Builds Visual Skills," which I accessed on LexisNexis on October 15, 2014. This discusses how Dr. Bevlier measured the effects of first-person shooter games in 4 experiments. The first tested the ability of a person to track objects in a cluttered environment. Gamers performed at least 50% better than non-gamers. The second involved having to say instantly how many objects were flashed on a screen. Most people can do this with up to 4 objects without counting. Gamers can do this with up to 10 objects without counting. The other 2 experiments tested a person's ability to process fast-paced visual information and to switch attention. Again, gamers were far superior to non-gamers. According to an article published by the Waterloo Chronicle on May 28, 2010, final edition, titled "Violent Games, Good for the Brain," which I accessed on October 15, 2014 from LexisNexis, people do learn from playing video games. An article titled "Duty Calls for Brains, Video Game Training," published Monday, April 20th, 2012, first edition, which I retrieved from LexisNexis on October 16, 2014, highlights research being done by Professor Ian Spence from the University of Toronto. Scientists tested 25 people who had never played video games before, had them play for 10 hours and up to 2-hour stretches at a time. This research found that puzzle games had no effect, and that run-and-gun, shoot-'em-up games, like the ones we just looked at, helped train the brain circuits to work better. What does this data mean, and who can benefit from this? Research points to improved driving skills when trained by playing first-person shooting games. In an article, "Violent Games, Good for the Brain," Daphne Bevlier was quoted saying, "People that play these fast-paced games have better vision, better attention, and better cognition." She also said games could be developed that harvest the positive effects of playing first-person shooter games without the violence. Researchers are looking to develop games for patients with low vision. We want to train the brain to be able to see better. Action video games have ingredients that are really powerful for brain plasticity, learning, vision, and attention. To conclude, we went over 3 main points today: the effects of playing first-person shooter games, who's doing the research and how, and what we can do with the data. I'd like to finish today with a quote from Dr. Bevlier. She says, "When we think of the effect of video games on the brain, it's very similar to the effect of wine on the health. There are some very poor uses of wine, and there are some very poor uses of video games. But when consumed in reasonable doses and at the right age, wine can be very good for the health." Thank you.